This is in August of 1946, 242 that I picked up at the swap meet this morning. We're going to refurbish it and give it a little lighting. Alright, as you will see, this thing is pretty dirty. It hasn't been fired in I don't even know how many years. But it's looking good with the correct original dome. Nickel plating is really dry. My idea is to take an SOS pad and take off just the very, very top layer of this acidizing that this nickel has started. And then I'll clean it around the cap. We'll pull it apart and clean everything inside. Wire brush it as much as I can. And then maybe before I do anything, maybe we'll just give it a little test fire first. I'll get some fluid in there. We'll put a new bag on it. And we'll just see if we get any pressure. And it'd be nice to fire, leaving it all patinaed like this. So we'll do that first, see how it looks, how it works, and then we'll see how much I need to dig into it. Okay, I didn't record this, but I just took the plunger apart. This is the early style with 2 screws and the real skinny pump cap. So I took it apart and oiled it and stretched it out a bit. It was really dry, and I put it back in because I wasn't getting any pressure. And I gave it just a little tiny bit of a push, and you can see there's already bubbles coming out of the vent in the cap. So we know that the pump's working, it's not frozen. Unlike Mr. 200A over here, who did not do too well. So check it out, you can see the difference in the size of the cap between this 242 and the 200. Anyway, so we got a little bit of pressure in it. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten these screws up and give this a little bit of oil. I always like to do that with a good penetrating oil in there. I'll give it a little bit more oil in here, and I'm going to pump it up and see if we have any pressure. Alright, so it's all screwed together. Let's see if we get any pressure out of this thing. A little tough to do one-handed. I think I might have to get the camera on the tripod. If we give it a handful of pumps, and then we try the cap, great pressure. Alright, so set the camera down and we're going to do this again. Alright, let's see if we can hear anything. Put the valve to about 1/4. Yeah, I'm hearing some pressure. Alright, let's get a mantle on it, fire it up. Okay, so here we go. Anyways, we got it fired up. Sorry again, I'm still one-handed because I couldn't find my tripod. But as you can see, got a nice glow. And this sucker hasn't been run in a long time. As you can see, the fuel that came out of it was a little bit raunchy. I ran it through a couple times and sifted it out. Put some clean fuel in there, poured it out, and it looked a lot better. So filled it up, pumped it up, and now we're going. All right, so we've established that this one is working. So the next step is going to be to let it cool, tear it down, and let's see if we can get some of this nickel polished up here. I mean, you can just hear how rough it is. What I do is I use first tubble rags and give it a good scrubbing. And then I'll see how much I can get off with the Neverdull. And then some real soapy SOS. Since it is almost 1,000, 000. I'll clean it up lightly, then go over it with 000. and then we'll see what it looks like from there. So sit tight, we'll be back soon. Hang in there. It's taking more work than I thought it would, but it looks like we're going all the way down to brass. All right, I'm sure that the lighting in here is not doing this any justice, but this is just after the first pass. It was tarnished so bad. You can see it's still pretty bad into there, but I kind of ran out of supplies. And I still got some detail work to do. And then a lot of Neverdull. Let's walk outside and see how shiny it is. Yeah, that doesn't help either. Anyways, it was very pitted, so I've been going over it with 1000 grit wet sandpaper. And as you can see, I brought it all the way down to the brass. And then a couple passes with some Neverdull has made it a little shiny. So I'm actually going to wet sand it again with 3000 grit. And then I'm going to go over it with a hand glaze. Then I'm going to go over it with Neverdull, and then I'm going to put it on the polisher and see what happens. Okay, there's a little change in plans. I decided to put it all together, fire it back up, and just use it. I got a camping trip coming up, and I will continue to polish it as the week goes by. I like how bright it burns when you use the original vintage silk mantles from Coleman. They just burn so much brighter. And hopefully next week I'll have it finished. But either way, this is going to be a keeper. I like the brass polish look to it. I decided to put the amber lens on it. If I could find a nicer top vent, I'd be happier. But all in all, pretty stoked. Hope you guys enjoyed this little video. It's what I'm doing now, playing with lanterns. Thanks for watching PHILA TV. Please subscribe.